Greetings and salutations, my artsy friends. How is everyone today? Good, I hope. I hope everyone is ready to do some, here we go, sorry. Ready to do some painting, because why wouldn't we? For pity's sake. Why am I crooked, I wonder? Let's see. Why is it that way? Is anybody there? Is anybody? Oh, sorry, you guys. I have this new phone holder thing, so I'm just kind of getting used to it. So let's get through the beginning stuff. Follow me on Facebook at Corbiere-Scott Designs and Instagram, please. By doing that, then I'm all crooked. Oh, golly, sorry. I'm trying to turn down the volume. Holy tamale. I'm so out of sync here. There, tell me, is that okay? Is it like a, sorry. Oh gosh. Is that like a roller coaster ride, you guys? Sorry about that. Sorry. Okay, so, like always, I'm gonna say, let's, remember my classes are all free. I just ask that you follow me and like me on Facebook and Instagram. And then once you, I'm going to unplug this from that, there we go. Once you do that and you've taken this class, please be sure to ask to join my private Facebook group, Let's Get Artsy with Corbiere-Scott, because that's where we're gonna share. Oh, Allison, hey, Pam, awesome. Nancy, feels like I was just talking to you. Anyway, and remember that the way I can support myself as a working artist is for you to purchase my art printables from my website, Corbiere-Scott-Design.com. Hey, Rebecca. So today, I'm going to take that same printable that we were working on the other day. No sign up, just show up, Rebecca. We're going to work with colored pencils. And so, I'm going to go over my little, thoughts on colored pencils again. Shadow is always opposite the light source, and the light source can be wherever you ding dang please it to be. Let's see, is that better? You can choose the left or the right or the top or the bottom. Just pick a light source. For the most part, you're just going to pick it, and then you're going to always put your shadow, your darker spots, opposite of your light source. Start light and build color slowly. I can't emphasize that enough. The lighter that you start, the better your end result will be. Swirly circle blend, I'll show you that. And sharpener is your friend. Always have a pencil sharpener near. Sharp equals crisp lines. Round is blending bliss. The rounder it is, hi Debbie Miller. The rounder your end of your pencil is, the better it is for blending, right? So just kind of keep that in mind, and don't drop your colored pencils because the lead will break somewhere along the shaft. My friend Lucinda says that if you set them in the microwave for like a few seconds, that will melt it back together, but I have never tried that. So I just tried really hard to not drop my colored pencils. just so you know. Because then that's going to cause the, you know, when you sharpen and it breaks and you sharpen and it breaks, that's from the lead being broke along the shaft somewhere. Okay, so we're going to work on the Debbie Miller art printable today. So today, we're going to work on the, I'm working on the A2. You can work on whatever you want. I just always have my color wheel there just because it's my friend and I find such comfort in it. But here's what we're gonna do. So we're going to, let's try this flower here. I have 3 shades of yellow, right? You can do whatever you want. You can do it with 2 shades, you can do whatever you want, right? So I'm gonna take the lightest shade of yellow and I'm gonna color really loosely all the petals, right? So I'm gonna do 1 petal and show you my idea. And then we'll move on to the, yes, I am on watercolor paper, Keels. Okay, so now I'm gonna come in with the little bit darker shade and I'm going to, do you see how I'm kind of coloring in a circular motion? I'm coming in with the next darker color and I'm just doing the base, remember, right at the base of the petal where it meets the stamen, that's gonna be dark. Any place that one petal is over another petal where those two kind of intersect, that will be dark. And then I've done these stippling kind of divots, and that kind of shows you that that's a place that it should be dark too, right? But we're just gonna color with this circular motion because that, and we're kind of almost barely touching the paper, right? Because that gives you a nice smooth transition from one to the next. Now we're gonna take, this one is called Spanish Orange, but you remember I talked about, I really like that buttery or yellow. So now we're gonna come in with this Spanish Orange and we're gonna do that circular, right? Does this make sense to everybody? Then we're gonna, remember we talked about like just follow the curve of that line of those dots, and that's gonna just create this beautiful, a beautiful almost dimension. You know what? I wonder if I get myself closer. It's gonna be a little rocky for a second. Sorry. Oh no. Well, I unhooked it from the whole table. Thank you for being patient with me. I'm so sorry. There we go. I just thought if I got closer, you'd be able to see more of what I'm doing. Did everyone survive the ride? Gosh, I'm so sorry about that. So, right, so see how I'm barely touching the paper, right? But do you see how this is almost white right in here? We want that. And then we want some of that orange, all the places that have the stippling, we want to make sure we hit that with the orange, right? Even if it's just barely. And then over here, let's see, I have my yellow from the other day that I've mixed with a little bit of orange, and I'm gonna mix a lot of water in there. So we're really, is everybody still there after that horrible roller coaster ride? I'm so sorry. We're gonna make this nice and watery, right? So now, because I want to be careful about how much I put on there, I took my brush and I hit my paper towel. So I took all the excess watercolor off, and I'm going to come back in and tap it. And now I'm just going to paint right over that colored pencil. So oftentimes we do it the other way around. We do colored pencil on top of watercolor. But I was just sitting at the table at my mother-in-law's house the other day, fiddling around with who knows what. And I thought, I wonder what would happen if I colored over the colored pencil. And I love it. Like the blend is seamless, I think. So I will say that I did leave white here and white here because we want some nice big highlight, right? That's not always with our gel pen, right? So I'm gonna work on some of the other petals. I'm gonna do that same thing. I'm gonna start, sorry I hit the camera. Sorry about that, you guys. Just having to come at it from a different angle this time. So now I'm gonna do that same thing where I'm gonna come in with the lightest yellow. And I use Prismacolors. I find them to be a superior colored pencil. But you can use whatever you want. Is everybody there? Oh. Yes. Okay. So I hope you're coloring along with me. Remember, you don't want to cover everything. We want lots of white to show through, right? You know how because we're coloring on watercolor paper, that's going to kind of just naturally happen. We just want to get a base of color down. Just like we do when we watercolor and we use a, oh yay, I'm so glad, Deb. I love it too. So just like we do with watercolor when we start with a really light base of color, we're doing the same thing here, right? So now we're gonna come in with the next deeper shade of yellow. And if you wanna know these colors, I don't know if anybody does, but the lightest one I'm using is Deco Yellow. And then the next one is Canary Yellow. And the last one is Spanish Orange. And you know what? I just pulled those out of my can of watercolors. There's no rhyme or reason. Sorry, I have to turn on the light and the fan. I live in Arizona. We need air circulation. Oh, I'm so glad, Deb. Color along, join us. So here's where I'm gonna do that circle blend. Like we're barely touching the paper. We're just blending out the color, right? Layers and layers and layers of color. All of that will add such dimension to your art printables. And remember, if it's a curvy spot, like up here, you're just gonna back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, because then you're just deepening that curve of color, like here, right? And then when we apply the last bit of color, the deepest shade, that's when the magic happens, I think. And then when we paint over it, shut up, it's so dang cute. Okay, so now we're gonna come in with the Spanish Orange, and we're doing that same thing. We're just doing circle, 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 and we're gonna follow that curve here, follow that curve. And for a second, it's gonna look a little bit obvious. I don't know another way to say it. It's gonna look like an orange line. But once we come in, we do that circle blend a little bit, right? And then when we come in with that watercolor, it's gonna just take on a whole new dimension. How's everybody doing? Is there anything that anybody wants to ask me or tell me, or I don't know? Are you all coloring with me? I hope. So Debbie, I was telling everyone the other day that I was inspired to draw this art printable because of the quote you gave me a long time ago. Do you remember that quote? The real secret to a fabulous life is to live imperfectly with great delight. Shut up! That's amazing, right? I know, Nancy, isn't it cool? I'm telling you, like, I just kind of fiddled, and I'm telling you, that's where some of your best ideas are going to come from, by just fiddling around. And the beauty of an art printable is that it's built for fiddling around because you can print it as many times as you want, right? So I'm going to come back in one last time with a little bit more orange, and I'm going to round those circles, right? So that it's as smooth as we can get it, but barely touching. Okay, and now Pam, are you kidding around? She's an international girl, that Pam. Her colored pencils are here. Okay, what's your question, Allison, about printing? Whoa, sorry. I'm so sorry, you guys. So it jams mine too. I use Northwood's rubber stamp watercolor and watercolor paper, and I use that because it's thinner, but I print at Kinko's, FedEx Kinko's, because that's the one that's near me. So I kind of like, I just try to make, because I don't go out very much, I'm pretty much one step above a hermit. I make my trip worth my while. So I will, you can put it through your computer. Really? Well, I take mine to Kinko's, and I was talking to someone, Keely, this morning about, would it be helpful, do you guys think, if I did a little video of my process when I go to Kinko's? Would that be weird? Or is everybody okay with, would you want to see what I do? Because it's kind of hard for me to explain it unless you have, so Kinko's is, I don't want to, this is going to make me sound antisocial, but I don't want to really interact with lots of people. So what I do is they have a system where you can email the printable to printandgo@fedex.com. So when you do that, so I email the printable to, I think I email it to myself, And then, yes, I send it to my email, and then I email it from my email to printandgo@fedex.com. Then, once you get to FedEx, at the copy machine, there's a little sign. And on that sign, it tells, like, you can print it this way, you can send it through the machine, you can, whatever. These are the options. So I picked the Print and Go one. So then when you send it to Print and Go, you're going to get they'll send you back a code. When you get that code, you're going to say you want to print on the machine, and then you're going to punch. It's going to ask you for that code. You're going to punch in that code, and then you can print right from there. I know it sounds like a lot of steps, but it's super easy. And I can be in and out of there in less than 7 minutes, because I know exactly, I don't have any desire to do anything else. I don't want to talk to anyone, right? I wear a mask on the way in. I sanitize my hands on the way in. I sanitize my hands when I get back in my car. So the one thing that you can't, so I always take my own paper, Allison and Nancy. So Northwoods comes and it's 9x12, I believe. So I cut it down before I even go. So, and one of the girls at Kinko's told me that if their machine has multiple drawers, right, like to put paper in, pull out every drawer slightly so that the machine doesn't default to one of those, and you're going to put your paper that you bring into the top bin, right? So you're going to put your paper in the top bin, and then you're going to push it in, and then you're just going to go through the process I was telling you about with the Print and Go steps and your code, and then you'll print lickety split. So I do print mostly on watercolor paper just because I really like. Do you think Office Max would do something similar? You know what? I don't know. I haven't tried them, but I bet if you cut your watercolor paper down, Debbie Garcia, if you cut your paper down and you take it in there and just say, I want 6 copies of this, and then because it's in your downloads, they should be able to pull it up, or you should be able to pull it up on your phone, and then they'll tell you how to send it to them, and then you can print it. They can print it on your whatever paper you bring in. So if I'm doing Copic markers or anything, just colored pencils, I print on Hammermill. I think it's 100 Hammermill 100 pound. It's like color copy cardstock or something like that. If I'm going to use my Zig markers, which are water-based, I often use Bristol paper, which I also have to cut down. So I just make myself a file folder, and I just put all of those papers in those file folders, and then I take that with me. And I will, I'm sure most of you have multiples of my art printables. So when I go, I make it worth my while. I'll do 5 of everything, or 3 of everything, or 10 of everything, depending on what I'm kind of, what my plan is. I just find it, so then I have them on, exactly. Then I have them on hand for painting. I need to finish that sentence. But yes, Ellison, I bet you they would. I bet you they would, absolutely. If you send them your art printable, and maybe 10 tell them you're bringing your own paper and have it printed, then they would just absolutely, they want you to be happy, right? Does that help everybody? Would you still like a little weird video of me walking into Kinko's? Would that help? So I have painted this flower, and now I'm going to do my leaf. So I'm going to kind of do the same. I'm just going to get a bunch of greens out and kind of see. Let's see. All right, so this one, I think I'm gonna start with lime peel because it's kind of olive green and that's kind of my jam. And this one you can see so much better than the yellow, right? So am I positioned in a way that everybody can see that? I think. So this one, maybe we'll just do 2 colors, right? So there's our first layer of color. Here's our next layer of color. And I'm just coloring another leaf, sorry about that, right? So we're gonna start. Hi, Jan. How are you? Thank you so much. I'm so glad you're here. All right, let's see if we can find that. Olive green, here we go. Okay, so the first one I used was lime peel, and now I'm gonna come in with olive green. So I'm going to come down here and I'm gonna do that. I'm so glad to hear that, Jan. I'm gonna come in and do that circle blendy, right? And here's another cool thing you can do. So see, we added a little bit of the darker olive green, right? And we're gonna do a little bit right here because remember this is gonna be darker because it's covering that leaf slightly below. We can come back with that. Hi, Lisa. We're gonna come back with that first color and we're just gonna do the circle blend over that. And that will smooth out that edge. And that's kind of our goal at all times, is to just smooth out that edge. So because this leaf has a beautiful curve right here, we're just gonna follow that with our pencil, right? And we might not go all the way to the edge. Do you see that? Because then we'll have this really pretty white, almost like barely green right here, and that's going to create this lovely, I am using Prismacolors. Do you want to know the colors that I'm using or just the brand? The brand is Prismacolor. So now we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to do that circle blend, right? That makes such a huge difference. I just love that you girls all join me. Seriously, it means the world to me. I was just talking to a friend and I said, you know, it just means the world to me to be able to hang out with like-minded people at my kitchen table. It's like you're all sitting here at my kitchen table with me. I just love it. I just love it. So, you know what? Let's do these. We could do the center of this flower, and let's do those with the deepest, with that Spanish orange. So here's a trick when you're coloring something small and round. Just color it round, 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 right? And then come in with something a little bit darker, right? So like a little bit darker orange. What's this one? And remember I told you, sharpener is your friend. Sharpen that to it. Remember we talked about that sharp is for crisp lines, round is for blending the tips of your pencil. So for this, we want a pointy end. We want it nice and sharp because we're gonna come in and we're gonna just do one side of those rounds. They don't all have to be the same, because remember it's like a cluster of round things, right? So they're not all going in the same direction, right? They can be however you want them to be. But do you see, by doing just that little bit, we've already added a little bit more dimension. And then we're gonna come back in with our Spanish orange, and see how it's rounded on the end, and we're just going to blend that in just slightly. Sometimes there's like a little bit of pigment that kind of comes off. Just wipe that on your paint cloth or your paper towel so that you're not smearing it everywhere, because you want to keep your, you want a nice gradation, right? From darkest to lightest. And by keeping with that round shape, it's gonna just pop, right? I agree, Nancy, visuals do help, don't they? So I will be a weirdo, like one of those YouTubers, and walk into Kinko's with my phone out, take a video. But I think, like, if you see what I'm talking about, but I agree with Allison, if you just email your artwork to them and then go in with your own paper, they'll print for you. And the cool thing is that they print laser, and with laser, your colors won't move. Your Copics won't move, your alcohol-based markers won't move, your water-based products won't move. It's fabulous. How's everyone doing? Good, I hope. All right, so now let's see if we can mix up a little bit. Am I too close, too far away? I want to mix up a little bit. So I'm putting a little bit of water on my palette, and I'm gonna get some green. You should not have an issue. If you do, yes, I am going to do Copics next week, I believe. I am going to do some Copic techniques, Miss Pam. I'm going to add a little bit of yellow to this, the green, and now I'm going to add a little bit of black, and let's see if we get the color I'm kind of hoping for. Shut up, look how pretty that is. If you, Allison, if anyone gives you any, you bring your phone and you can show them on my website that I give you permission for using them for your personal use. You should be fine. Oh, shut up, look how pretty that is. Okay, so did you see that I added some yellow to some of this green from the classics, And then I added a touch of black, like barely any. And I got a nice kind of olivey green. And then I just like to, remember we talked about if you have too much color on your surface, you can wipe off your brush and then come in with your dry brush, and it's going to act like a sponge, and you can just paint that off on your paper towel. And then I like to see, I like that it has all that texture underneath, because then it doesn't just look flat. I kind of dig that. Then you're just going to come back in with that. Remember we talked about that, just that wiggly, blendy motion, right? Wash my brush, dry my brush. It kind of does act as a resist. Yes, colored pencils do act as a resist, Lisa. Okay, I'm going to take a little bit more of that avocado. It does add dimension, doesn't it? I just love it. So fun. So it's just, you know, it's just something different. It's just a different way of applying pigment and color to your image. So now I washed my brush and dried my brush, and now I'm going to pick up a little bit of that yellow that we used on the petals, and I'm going to come in and just soften all of these stamen with that yellow, right? So another thing you might think about is that once this is all dry, we can come back in and we can still do our pen work. We can still do some splatter if we wish. You can do whatever you want. That's the beauty, right? It's your image. Once, there we go. Okay, so this one, I've started the process. I have one petal painted, but now let's come there, this one. So now let's come back in and paint the rest of these petals. These were kind of fun because they were long and skinny, so it's kind of fun to color with the colored pencils. Sorry, my arm keeps going in front. So I like to, just like when I straight watercolor, I just like to add like the wateriest layer of color first. And then as I go along, see if I want to continue building that color. Right, I might want to get a little deeper. And remember, you can turn your paper. And if you turn your paper, you'll be so much happier because you're not doing a contortion with your arm and your hand to get to a certain spot. You're bringing that spot to you, which makes so much more sense, right? So I'm still doing that blendy thing where I just kind of jiggy. And you're gonna see, the closer you get to your paintings, you're gonna see that colored paper, that colored pencil start to move just ever so slightly. It's not going to move like paint, but you'll see that you're starting to spread that color a little bit, and that's going to create such cool dimension. Cool. Me too, Jan. Prima Classics. I don't deny myself any cuteness. So I have like $12 billion worth of watercolors in my house. But what I will say is that whatever set of paints you have, I would recommend the Prima Classics because it's a decent quality. It's a very good quality paint, and it's certainly not artist quality, but it's for $30 you get 12 colors. That's very reasonably priced. And with the classic set, you can mix any of those colors. As you can see my palette, I mix colors all the time. I very rarely use colors straight from the half pan. I almost always mix it to get my own blend, my own color. And when you do that, oh my gosh, you're just gonna take your art to the next level. But I will say that if you cannot afford that, there's no shame in your game. You just use what you can afford. If you can only afford Crayolas, get to know those Crayolas, know their capabilities, know how much you can mix, know how much water you can add. And the way you figure all of that out is just paint, 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 paint. Just keep playing with them. I'm telling you, that's the key, is get to know your tools. Whatever tools you have, whatever paintbrushes you have, whatever paper you have, whatever paints you have, whatever colored pencils you have. I've seen people do amazing things with Crayola colored pencils. With Crayolas, I will say that you just have to be able to dedicate a little bit more time. You're never going to get the rich pigment of a Prisma, but if you work with them and get to know their capabilities, I think you'll be happy. Oh, what hydrocolors did you order, Nancy? Nancy, where do you live? Do you live here in Arizona? Do you live someplace else? Hey, Keels. While I'm waiting for Nancy to answer, I'm going to mix up a pink.
Pink added to your shopping list.
Alexa, off. Sorry about that, you guys. Sorry. Stinking Alexa. She only works when you don't want her to. I was telling Keely that where you've been having a problem with our internet in the afternoon, is anybody else having that problem with their internet? Prescott Valley. So I know that Scraps of Love has Northwoods rubber stamp watercolor paper, and they would be willing to ship to you. And that's kind of my fave. Did you find Northwoods on Amazon? Or are you using like Canon or something like that? Okay, so now I'm gonna just do a light wash of pink on this flower. I think it's a zinnia. It's really from my imagination, but maybe I was dreaming of a zinnia that day. I do love zinnias. Right, so we're gonna let that sit. So that one maybe we put colored pencils on top. So these, let's do our, I think we did 2 colors, right? We did lime peel. And remember, we want some white to show, just because that'll give it a little bit more interest and dimension. And then let's come in with the olive green. Remember, we're just going to do that circle blending. And remember this, we can do just the very edge, and that's going to give enough oh, sorry, you guys. I just had to plug in. There, how's that better? So we can do these crevices, right? Down here where the leaf goes under the petal. But then we could do right here too. Look, there'll be a slight shadow, but do you see how I'm just barely going next to the petal? Here. All right, now we're gonna come back. Canson paper, that's beautiful. Pink and green blend, those hydrocolors, seriously, they're so pretty. I'll do one of these paint-alongs. I'll do some handmade watercolors in one of those too, so you can kind of see the difference. I just started with just a couple and I painted with them, and like I said, I just learned about them as I went along. I just figured out what their capabilities were. I will say the biggest thing, Nancy, about handmade watercolors is that they are highly pigmented, but you paint a little bit different, and here's how you paint just a little bit different. You need to make sure that you get some water on top. Whoa, sorry. You need to get some water on top, and then you need to get some water on top and let it sit for just a minute or so, and then work that water into after it's sat there for a minute, work that water into the top of that pan of paint until you kind of see it move. And then if you got sparkly, did you get sparkly ones? Or, uh-oh, Jan, I'm so sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? I swear, I think that there's a problem with the internet in the afternoons, that it's, I think there's so many people all using the internet at the same time that, people keep getting kicked off, and I hate it. I hate it. But my husband is having the same issue with his work because he works from home too, and so he's going to look into getting a stronger internet, whatever you call that. I thought we had pretty strong internet, but whatever. Well, so they are glitter. Okay, so here's the tip about glitter. You're going to need to do a couple of layers, because when you first paint with it, this is going off on a tangent, isn't it? Sorry about that, others. When you first start painting with them, here, This I painted with hydrocolor glitters. Do you see how this has this little bit of white here? Is that showing up on the, let's see. Where's my finger? There. Do you see how there's that little bit of white? So that, that you just need to work to cover that with your glitter. So it's going to take a couple of coats, and it's going to take some work at working that water into that paint and getting it, kind of letting it soak, and then mixing it, kind of working it around, get it kind of prepped, and then paint. And then you, like, here's the trick. Paint a layer, let it dry all the way, then come back and paint another layer. Let it dry all the way. Does that make sense? So don't get discouraged with them is what I guess I'm trying to say. Don't get discouraged. It just takes a little bit of work. Let's see. So we got about 10 minutes. Let's see. Is everybody feeling done, or are you feeling like you could go a little longer? If it's getting frustrating to people, I understand. Sorry. So I'm going to take some of this green. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to come back with this lighter green, and then I'm going to just soften. Did I do this already? Soften that darker green, right? Remember, just follow that nice curve. If something has a curve, just follow it with color. Okay. Yes, Nancy, acrylic, it's the same as acrylic paint, yep. Except glitter is kind of finicky. It kind of has its own little way of doing stuff. I like Gamsol. I just feel like you can blend with just the straight pencil just as well. That's my personal belief. But I have Gamsol if I want it to be ultra smooth. I just kind of really like when there's that little bit of texture. But it depends what I'm painting. Hi, Annalisa. How are you doing? We could do that another day, Sue. We could totally do a colored pencil and Gamsol technique day. Why not? Right? Why not? It's just painting, right? Just painting along with each other. What could be better? What could be finer? Not much, I say. Not much. So you could continue this technique. You can go over. So we started out with colored pencil, and then we came in with our watercolors. But now we can absolutely come in with more colored pencil, right? So you can come in and deepen this down here. Because we did nice thin layers, you can continue to build, right? And like always, I will make these all into cards. I'll add all of my finishing touches. So just know that when you add those little extra touches, that's just going to take your cards to the next level, and it'll highlight your artwork just that little bit more too, right? So we're just coming in with those little baby circles to blend, and then over that we're going to come in with the next lightest color, and we're going to continue that. We're going to put that right over the deepest shade, which was Spanish orange, and this is canary yellow, right? We're just going to come in Circle, circle, circle. All those little circles are going to blend. And then if there's a curve, remember, we're just going to follow it, follow it, follow it, follow it. Because remember, look at, it's nice and round. Remember, round is blending bliss, sharp is crisp lines. So as long as we remember that, I'm telling you, it will work. Those pencils will work for you. And that's what we want, right? So we're just coming in with those nice, oh, shut up, look at this blend. It's working so good. There. Do you see how this is just this beautiful, deeper shade right here? Because I just followed that curve, and I'm barely touching my paper. And then this is so light that it's almost looking white. And then we're gonna come up the center with this one, but we're just barely, right? And then here, and then we're gonna barely, just barely touching, and we're doing those baby circles, right? That is pretty much perfection. I'm loving it. So when I finish this off, I might add some white gel pen to add just a little bit. Yes, you do have, Lisa, you do have to wait for the paint to dry before applying your colored pencil. But you know what? If you want to play with it and see what happens if it's still a little bit damp, try it out, see what happens. It might be the coolest thing in the world. But I would wait. I find that if you let each layer do its job, then they kind of play better together. But hey, you know, I am open to any kind of new funky art technique. That's for sure. Okay, so I hope everybody had a great time today, and I hope that you'll continue to paint and color, and meet me again on Saturday morning, because on Saturday mornings, that's when, so we meet at noon on Saturdays, noon Arizona time on every Saturday, and we explore another great artist, and we get inspired with creativity from that great artist, and then we do a project in our art journal inspired by that great artist's style. So please be sure to, oh yes, so yes, Lisa, you're right. I know, you know what, Lisa, we've never even met in person, and you know what? You're getting to know my noggin. It bounces all over the place. So once this is done, we're gonna, then we can go in and we can highlight with our white gel pen. We can highlight with, we can splatter some black and splatter some white. We could fussy cut this out and mount it on some, we can mount it on some colored pattern paper. That might be cool. We could mount it in any old, you know, you could put it on like a pre-done tag that maybe you played with some funky inks or whatever. I will, if I post anything like that that's unusual like that, I will try very hard to put it all in the comments. If not, just say, hey Ann, what'd you do? Then I also might add some doodads from High Supply. My friend Victor sells the coolest stuff. They're like little sequins or little clay pieces, or little dimensionally like clear droplets, or I'm trying to think what the other saucers. Those are kind of cool. The saucers are kind of like a sequin with no holes. That's what how I think of them. Anyway, all of that stuff, and then mat your artwork. Maybe cut it out with a die. There's so many cool dies that cut A2 cards so you come in just slightly inside of the edge and you get like a cool stitched border. That's going to take it up a notch immediately. Then you mount that on another stitched piece of contrasting cardstock. There's just like a million things that you can do to just take your cards up to the next level. You know what I mean? And I've been kind of playing with the idea of 1-layer cards. That's kind of a cool thing too. I don't know. Just follow me on Instagram and Facebook right here at Corbiere-Scott Designs, and I will post there, and I hope you post too. Please, if you're not comfortable putting them out for the whole wide world to see, not the whole wide world, but you know, everybody on Corbiere-Scott Designs, ask to join the private group, and I will tell you that everyone there is so kind and so complimentary and just encouraging and nice, because I think we need lots more nice in this world. Don't you guys? I will see you all Saturday. Bring your art journals, your watercolors, and a pencil with a flat eraser. I will send out an email tomorrow, so make sure that I have your email. I'll send out an email tomorrow with specifics of what we all need and what next week's schedule of events is going to be. But that's a little heads up. I'll talk to you soon, guys. I love that you came and spent the afternoon with me. Thank you.